Welcome to the Learn Podcast. I'm your host, Mercy Kala, and I'm joined with co-host and author Ruth Potinu. We've got another wonderful topic today, don't we?
Yes, we do.
And now for today's audiobook retelling of the parable of the fig tree.
When's that guy gonna get here? Might as well read until he arrives.
Mr. Peters? I hope you don't mind. Ms. Garr let me in.
Not at all. So you're the guy that comes highly recommended by my daughter. Here you're quite the gardener.
I hope I can live up to that. I'm David.
Well, David, I should probably show you around the garden. Hand me that cane, will ya? Been getting a bit harder, getting around these days.
Lila mentioned that when she was scouting for someone with a green thumb. Couldn't help but volunteer.
I'm sure volunteering has nothing to do with impressing my Lila, and everything to do with caring for my vineyard, huh?
I mean, I just...
All in good jest, David. So Lila says you have a green thumb? Well, I'll be the judge of that, and you can prove yourself by getting started with getting rid of this fig tree right here. Just look at it compared to the rest. Anyway, you're the expert. What do you say? Think it's time for it to go?
Sir, I know it's your vineyard and all, but from the looks of it, I suggest we leave it alone for one more year.
Another year? I've never gotten the thing to bear any fruit the last 2 years. What's one more gonna do? I say we get rid of it and plant something else. Just don't know what quite yet.
Must have been frustrating waiting all that time for nothing to happen. But I'm thinking with a little bit of digging and some fertilizer, it might finally give you those figs after all.
Sure would like to see that.
If it bears fruit this time next year, you'll have something to munch on. If not, I'll cut it down myself. What do you say?
I'd say you got yourself a deal.
So, does this mean I got the job?
Sure does.
Today, we're going to be speaking on the parable of the barren fig tree. So, on the theme of today's topic, Ruth, have you ever had a period where you had to practice patience?
Yes. I would say the last 10 years of having small children daily tries my patience. I used to think I was a patient person, but that is actually an area where I have to grow the most.
You are so right. Having kids and just being around kids definitely tries your patience. Okay, let's get into what this parable is about. Ruth, can you tell us a bit about it?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Again, it's a short one, and the disciples are asking Jesus questions, and he tells them a parable of a man growing a fig tree in his vineyard, and it doesn't have any fruit. So he says, cut it down. But then the gardener says, no, let's give it another year. I'll fertilize it. And he does that and says, but if it's not after a year, if there's no fruit, then it's finished. We're cutting it down.
What I like about this parable is that there's an implication of putting action behind our goals. So in this case, whatever we want to happen, we can't just expect it to happen. We've got to do something about it. How about you, Ruth?
Yeah, it's an interesting reminder, too, that God's grace doesn't last forever. He's a really gracious God, but he does want to see fruit in your life. And I think sometimes we focus so much on the grace part, but he does want like that action, that obedience with the grace.
Right. I agree. Do you want to read the parable straight from scriptures for us, Ruth?
Sure. I'll start in verse 8. Then he told this parable. A man had a fig tree in his vineyard, and he went to look for fruit on it, but did not find any. So he said to the man who took care of the vineyard, for 3 years now, I've been coming to look for fruit on this fig tree and haven't found any. Cut it down. Why should it use up the soil? Sir, the man replied, leave it alone for 1 more year, and I will dig around it and fertilize it. If it bears fruit next year, fine. If not, then cut it down.
You know what I like about this is that the man in the story was saying, I want fruit from this tree. And he knew he wasn't getting it. But what every farmer and gardener knows is that there's steps you have to take to make that happen. You can't just plant a seed and have this expectancy of it. It'll grow, but if you don't nurture it, if you don't water it, it won't.
Yeah, that's a good point. Gardening is such an interesting analogy, and fruit can take a long time. So there is that patience part of it. And the gardener was willing to go that extra mile and do whatever he could to see some fruit.
Right. Another thing that we can't overlook is the length of time that it actually took for the barren tree to bear fruit. He said he was going to fertilize it so that by a year's time it might bear fruit. And that's the same thing with life, I think. You can put your boots to the ground, but some of these things don't happen overnight. And I believe that's where patience comes in.
Yeah, patience is such a big part of it. And I think even in our spiritual lives, it can be hard to wait for the fruit, but there's also that action part that you have to do something, and that God's grace it'll wait. Like Isaiah 55, 6-7 says, "Seek the Lord while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near. Call upon him, let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts. Let him return to the Lord, that he may have compassion on him, and to our God, for he will abundantly pardon." Again, it just reminds me of this. There is grace, but we do have to take time and turn. And if we don't do that, we won't see the fruit in our lives.
Exactly. How do you think we can apply this to our lives, actually?
I think it's a practical thing of make the choices, be disciplined. If you want to see those fruits of the Spirit, you have to turn away from the things of this world.
Right, right. If you want to see the fruits of the Spirit, you have to turn away from the things of this world. I couldn't agree more. Guys, I also think that this can be applied to our prayers. We can pray, "Hey, God, I need your help passing this exam," but outside of that, you've got to study. And that's how it works. He's saying, "I know you have expectations and goals you want to reach, but without putting effort into it and doing what you can and doing your part, that's how you get what you want. That's how the barren trees in your life start bearing fruit." Ruth?
That's true. It reminds me of James, of that idea of faith and action. They have to go together. You can pray, but you have to put action into it as well if you really want to see change.
Definitely. How about a prayer?
Sure. Lord, thank you for your mercy. Thank you for your grace. Thank you that you're a loving God who allows us second chances. May we not take your grace for granted, but learn to live fully for you each day. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for the prayer, Ruth. And thank you, listeners, for listening to the Learn Podcast. If you'd like to support this channel, you can do so through the information in the description box. If you liked hearing from Ruth Potinu, check out the latest book she co-authored titled Permission to Mourn, available now online. Get the latest fictional faith-based novel titled Going Viral by me, available now on ebook platforms. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Till next time, where we'll keep discussing biblical parables right here on the Learn Podcast.